Sho Genge, welcome back to Uncomfortable Growth, hosted by none other than your girl, Guguletu Nyansumba, Jujuletwa, Sishi you to some. Okay, to my returning subscribers to the Genge, I hope that you guys are well at home. And to those that are passing by, hopefully you like what you see and you join the Genge, please. Hope you like what you see and you join the Genge, please. Because we are on the road to 70,000. Sorry. I just had to dance because I'm so excited. We are just less than 2,000 subscribers away from 70K. So please make sure to get everyone you know to subscribe, all your loved ones, your boyfriends, your girlfriends. Hey, subscribe tonight. Subscribe today. So I'm gonna be a little bit all over the show when it comes to like this video, but you guys have asked for me to speak about my relationship with God and fasting and all of that, so I feel like I'm gonna address that. And honestly, when you guys were asking for me to do this video last year, I felt like I wasn't prepared enough. Sometimes I like to experience more before I twerk, okay? And there has been a message that has currently been pressing on my heart. So you know what, I thought this Sunday we're going to church. We're going to church. So the title of my message, which I feel like is even so churchy of me to say, but the title of this video and my message today is that if God has called you to it, he will get you through it. I don't even know where to start with that. So when I think about my YouTube channel, I really have seen that God has used my weaknesses and things that I struggled with the most, which was literally speaking and being seen, and has used things that I struggled with to show his glory and show his strength and show that I can do anything in him, and he is always there to like support me and give me the strength and like just get me through that phase. And I've come to realize that when God gives you a seed, sometimes you don't know what to do. And God had given me the seed, which was my YouTube channel. I think I had ideas of starting a YouTube channel in my 2018. Said I was gonna do it with my friends. That didn't come to pass, you know, we weren't serious. But then in 2020, there really was something that was pressing on my heart to do so. And it was after I had finished fasting. I was like, God, everything's a mess right now. I need you to show up and show out, okay? I need you to talk to me. And I felt him telling me to start a YouTube channel, which I think was the seed. And obviously I was very doubtful, I was very scared. I'd never done anything like this before. And more than anything, I just hated being seen, but I was just like, I really like the life I have now. Which was a lie back then, like I really didn't, but I thought I did. But I was like, you know what, I like just living my life with my friends in my little corner, and not having to speak out and having such a big voice and opinions and so forth. Like, that's comfortable. But obviously he was like, well, that's not really the plan I have for you, so you're gonna start this YouTube channel. And I did. And even when I did, not that I didn't take it seriously, but like, it was just a passion project. I just wanted to kiki, haha, speak my shit with my friends, you know, and that be that. I had no idea that it would grow into what it became today. And when I first had the idea of starting a YouTube channel, I didn't really tell anyone until I told my friends, and then they were like, okay, no, I definitely, like, we see this for you and we think that you can do it. And the word that came to my heart, the message that came to my heart is that sometimes a seed is between you and, not sometimes, a seed is always between you and God. There is no one else who's going to understand it. There is no one who needs to understand it. There's no explaining that needs to be done. Sometimes God puts things in our hearts that are purely meant for us and for him to understand, and that is between our relationship. If other people don't understand it, if people don't believe in it, that has nothing to do with you. If you're not qualified for the thing that God has called you to do, he will qualify you. If you feel like you aren't good at it, he will make you great at it. A seed being planted is very difficult because first you get this idea and you don't really know where it comes from or why you have it and what it's going to become, but you feel it. And I felt it. I can feel when something's pressing on my heart because it's impossible for me to forget about it, you know, and like every few days I'm like, YouTube channel. And I feel like that's how God speaks to me, like the very important things he definitely gets across. And when God gives you a seed and you want to start like planting the seed and working towards whatever plan it is that he has for you, I felt like, I don't know, but I feel like someone needs to hear that even your parents don't need to understand your seed. When I say your relationship with God is purely between you and God, no one else will understand it. No matter how much you explain it, no matter how much I talk about God and how much he means to me and like what we do and what our relationship and ins and outs look like, you guys at home will never fully understand because that is a relationship between two people. and that is that. So sometimes God will tell you to go to a certain place, do certain things, and your parents won't even be in favor of that. They may be against that. They may be speaking against what it is that God wants for you to do. Now that's a very tricky situation to be in, and I feel like that might be the whole reason why I decided to do this video, because I was at that point where I wanted to do YouTube and I felt like God was pulling me in a certain direction, but my parents weren't necessarily understanding, you know, because they're like, YouTube? What about the nails on the cross, girl? What about the degree? What about the reason you went to Cape Town? You know, like, what about that? And naturally I was met with hesitation because they don't really understand they didn't understand what it meant to be a YouTuber was, and they didn't necessarily know what kind of content it is that I wanted to create. And I had to believe in myself, and I had to believe in God, and I had to hide myself in God and allow for him to just carry me through that time, purely just knowing that he wants for me to be here and that he is going to get me through it. And when I look at where I started and where I am now, I would have never imagined, ever imagined that I would be at the point at which I am now with my career and with my YouTube, and I can just see he has bigger and greater plans. And had I not taken the second to just focus on him and focus on what he wants for my life and give him my time and give him my life and surrender my life to him so that he can do whatever it is that he needs to do in order to get me here, then I wouldn't be here. You know, it's also weird. I'm at the point where I'm kind of understanding some of the things that I went through in the past. I'm understanding why I went through them. You know, some not so much, because that was traumatic and that didn't need to happen at all. And I don't necessarily think I'll ever have an understanding. But there's certain things that I look back at and I'm like, I know I went through that because God was preparing me for this very moment, and God was preparing the person that I needed to be, and God was teaching me a lesson. And sometimes when we're in the storm and in a weird place, we feel like God has forsaken us and that he has abandoned us, but he will never do that. He never has, and he never will. And normally in that time, he is pressing a message. He's making new wine out of you. He's renewing your mind, renewing your heart, and yeah, just teaching you things that you need for the next chapter of your life. And in the moment, we don't see that because we feel so much, you know, and like pain is a very big feeling, especially if you're just going through it and you feel like your life is falling apart and you don't understand what is going on, which was me. Like, even when I decided to take a leave of absence, I low-key felt like I had no choice. Like, I was just so all over the show that I was like, there's no ways. Like, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to look. I don't know what I'm good at. I don't know what I'm passionate about, you know? I'll never forget, there was a time where in varsity, like I was going through it and my parents like sat me down because they were worried, child. And they were like, what do you want to do with your life? I said, I'm good with people and I'm good with speaking to people, and I have a gift when it comes to connections. And obviously when I said that, my parents would look at me like, they were like, girl, you what? You what now? Because obviously, how do you channel that into a career? It's like, cool, you're good with people, so do you want to be in something that is creative? Do you want to be in this? Do you want to be in that? But I didn't know, but I knew the way in which I can like resonate with people was a gift. And I voiced that and they didn't understand it. And I'm now realizing that that's when God was even planting my seed. Like, I have discovered somewhat of my purpose, and I know that he'll only continue to reveal more of it. But in that moment, I had like, that was the first time I was admitting to myself and to my parents that like, I know I have this gift that I don't even understand right now, but it is something that's really important. And I kind of saw myself continuing to express that, but in different ways and in different words, like since that day, you know, like, what do you want to do? I was like, oh, I want to help people. Like, oh, what do you want to do? I like being around people. I like speaking to people. Like, I just knew that I can draw strength from people. I can, not all the time, because people are draining, don't get it twisted. Okay, but I do enjoy like sharing my thoughts, laboring my emotions, you know, and I enjoy helping people labor their emotions and navigate their thoughts. So that's not something that they understood, you know. Again, that seed was for myself and God. What I'm really focusing on this year with my relationship with God is that, so at the beginning of every year I fast, just for the year, for myself, you know, and normally the beginning of my year is wonderful. I'm up, I have so much energy, I'm working, I'm up, I'm here, and then towards the end of the year, I'll normally suffer from seasonal depression, just because, yeah, I think out of trauma, because the body, you know, what's the name of the book? Something along those lines. So I just know that my body is used to falling into like that weird phase at the end of the year. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's like a come down, and a big one at that. But I also have become aware that the reason I'm so tired and burnt out towards the end of the year is because I end up not making as much time for God as what I did in the beginning. I know that my first half of the year is amazing because I have just come out of like fasting. I'm spiritually full. I know what I want to do with my life. I know that, like, you know, things are just crystal clear to me. Things feel easier. I feel lighter. And then when the year starts, you know, after I finish fasting and I start and I'm good and like I progressively speak less to God, I progressively make less time for him, my problems become bigger. And I've realized this year that like I don't have the choice of doing life without God. And when I say doing life, I mean doing every single step of the way with him. Like I speak to God about everything, the smallest, the biggest things. Like I have also found so much joy in creating our own relationship. So when I was in church, I used to think that you have to speak in a certain way to God at a certain time. And like, don't get me wrong, I do think you have to be respectful when you speak to the Lord, but God is everything to me. He plays so many different roles. So he's my provider, he is my father, he is my homie, he's my friend, he's my guy. Like I often say to my friends, like, that's my guy, because he's my guy. Like there's no one that moves for me the way that God does. There's no one who does anything the way for me that God does, you know? So that's my guy. Like I often say that to my friends. And when I allowed for myself to express myself, who I am, to God organically and speak to him the way I speak to you guys. Like sometimes people, when I pray, like I know I have like a structure of praying-ish, but sometimes people hear me pray, they're like, oh damn, like you're just talking to him. And that's what it is for me. Like I'll wake up and just be like, yo, I'm a little anxious today. I don't know what's happening. I please pray that you're with me and that you just, you know, ease my day as it goes. Small things, like I'll never forget, I used to pray at UCT because I stayed at Grosha, which is on lower campus. So as I'm walking to the Jammy bus, I would pray and be like, Lord, when I get there, can there be a bus? Eh? I don't have time to wait. I'm late for lectures. I pray for the smallest things. And when I also understood that it's important to create a relationship with God, and that the same way you maintain your other relationships is the same way you need to maintain your relationship with God. And I learned that in high school, like very quickly. I knew that I felt really good on Sundays and that I loved church and I loved being around people who were like-minded and believed in the same thing. And it was like, church was really special to me in high school because it was the one space where I did not have to defend God. I went to a private school. I was fortunate enough to go to a private school, Red Hill High, and it was predominantly white, and most of the students that went there were atheists. And you know, it's cool, each person must believe their own thing, but they were atheists and believed that everyone should be an atheist. And I knew I believed in God, and I knew I went to church. And let me tell you guys a story. There was a day at church, I was so excited. My mom bought me like my first Bible, like the real one, not the kiddies one, like the real one. And it was burgundy. I still have the Bible. It was burgundy. I was excited. You know, I had Insta breezy. I take a snap of the Bible. I post it on my feed, and you know, I'm feeling cool. I'm like, I got a burgundy Bible. And it also just felt like a some sort of progression in my relationship with God, and like me seeking the word and, you know, being excited to read and find out what won. So that was me, and I'll never forget. That was on Sunday. The next day we're chilling, we're in maths. I even know which class I'm in. We're in maths, and then this girl said it to me, and she was like, yo, I saw you posted the Bible. And then this guy comes up, he's like, yeah, why did you do that? Like, nah, that's not cool, like delete that. And immediately I felt so much shame that I deleted it. I was like, we ain't posting the Bible, that's not cool. We don't do that around here? Shit, my bad. And yeah, I deleted it. And ever since then, whilst I was in high school, I was very hesitant to speak about God and my relationship with God and just let it be known that I believe in him. And then I had a friend in high school who moved to my high school, who was very important for my journey in walking with God, Jamie Lee. She came and she was just so unapologetic, and I thought, like, she is so cool. Like, she comes, she talks about God, she's like, I know God, that's my guy. Like, you're not gonna disrespect me, you're not gonna disrespect him. Even if you don't agree, you have to at least just respect what it is that I am, you know? And I saw her go off, and I was at the back like, and I jumped on. I haven't always been able to be proud of God, and I think the older that I've become and the more confident that I have been in my relationship with him, the more like, I'm like, also he does so much for me that there's absolutely no ways I can't speak about God. And sometimes people ask me like, yo, Goo, like, you always bring God into things. It's like, he's my whole life. He's my beginning, he's my end. Like, he does so much for me. Like, so much for me. Another little story was that 2 years ago, I was out, and yeah, I just started my YouTube channel, and you know, the numbers were, they were talking, and I hadn't seen this guy in a while, and he greets me, and he's a little drunk, and he's like, yo, you killing the YouTube shit, bruh, shout out. I'm like, thank you. And he's like, how'd you get how'd you grow your subscribers so quickly? Which was a question that I was being asked a lot in 2020. And my answer was always the same thing: consistency, because I was my most consistent in 2020. I did not miss a single Sunday that year. So I was like, consistency and God, because those were the two things. I think I was putting in the work, and God had just made space and had called me to be in this space, and he was gonna do what he needed to do, okay? When it is your time, it is your time, okay? It doesn't matter how long you've been doing something. It doesn't matter how bad you think you will be at something. It doesn't matter how many people are doing it. God will make a show out of you. He will prepare a table in front of your enemies. Do you understand me? Don't ever doubt that. Don't ever doubt God. Sorry, I just felt the need to say that. So I think I'm also saying that because his reaction to my response was very much like, nah, dog, it's because you're a light-skinned fly, honey. Like, that's why you're booming. And in my mind, I was like, why'd you ask me if you already, like, have a preconceived notion as to why it is that I am at the point at which I am at? Like, you could have just run with that and left me out of it. But I felt so insulted because more than anything, it's like, you don't believe that God can do that. And because you don't believe that, you want for that to also be my reality. Like, don't speak down on my God and what he's done for me in my life. The reason I am here is because of him. And if you don't believe that, that's fine. And you want to believe it for other reasons, cool. But don't project that onto me. Don't ask me for my answer when I give it to you. You want to tell me it's not the truth. We're going to fight. So, yeah, it's cool being at the point where I'm like, I'm about that guy and he's about me, and I've dedicated my life to him. And I mean, I'm so young, so I'm really navigating it. And being a Christian isn't easy, but I know it's the best thing for me because I prefer to do life with God. Like, I've tried to do life without him and it's a little bit shambolic for me. So I just prefer to do it with him. And like, doing the right thing is not always easy. And I'm gonna speak about that more openly on my channel because like navigating Christianity has been quite the journey. And my friends and I have conversations about this all the time because we're going through it. We're going through it, but we know we love the Lord. But what I was going to say is that this year I have really dedicated myself to just listening to God. I know there's a verse that speaks about creating a safe space, and I think they refer to it as a tent that you will go back to in your hiding time with God. And that's what fasting is. Like, fasting is me just actively making time and giving God the center stage, like not making him a supporting role, but being like, this is your show, this is your life, do what you want to do, talk to me, like renew me, like I just do a lot of work in that time, like spiritual work with him. What's cool is that I've done really well at creating the tent, so I know what downtime looks like for me and God, and I know what fasting looks like for me. And I've gotten to the point where I know what it looks like so much that I'm even aware of when he's calling me back to it. So as much as I fast at the beginning of the year, and that's great, I also this year want to fast whenever I feel the need to. Like, whenever I'm being called into that space, whenever he wants to whisper in my ear, prepare me for the next chapter, heal me, talk to me, anything, I want to be able to do that. Like, I don't only want to fast when, the church is fasting and we're fasting for the year. And that's going to be a very big part of my relationship with him. And also me just needing him. I also had a friend who had once asked me, he was like, dog, you're always fasting, hey? He invited me out. And then he was like, but I don't know if you're fasting or what, mate, because you fast every second week. And I was like, bruh. And I didn't necessarily know how to respond to that. Like, I didn't know how to explain why I do it all the time. But now I know I'm a very spiritual person and I need God in my everyday life, and I need as much of him as possible. And I'm really just vowing to make more time for him actively, like not slotting him in, but making time, because the things that are important to me, I make time for. And if I can make time for certain things in my life, for me, it's like, how can I not make time for God? And I mean, don't get me wrong, like, you get caught up in the ways of the world, you get busy, you get tired, you become discouraged. Like, when I'm going through it, that is when it is the hardest for me to pray. But when stuff is hitting the fan, that is when I really am struggling, like, to just talk to the guy. And I've just realized that me not speaking to him prolongs me getting better and feeling better in the situation, like just getting better, and him shedding light on it, and me understanding why I'm going through it or what this is supposed to teach me and so forth. That, like, I just want to move with him this year. Like, I want to, as a person, I really do try and move with intention in everything that I do. I think that when you're passive is when you're very dangerous as a person. Like, you're not necessarily sure why you're doing things, you're going with the flow. I think you can find yourself in very tricky and weird situations, but when you are rooted and you are intentional with everything that you're doing, you're aware of the fact that you're doing it and you know why you're doing it, So for me, it's kind of like, that's my guy. I feel the best when I'm talking to my guy. I feel the best when I'm in his presence. So I'm gonna just really make that the center of my year. Like, really getting into the habit of just chilling with my guy. And we all, like, I don't know, each person's relationship is different. We all get to know God differently. Everyone has a different story. So that's May, and I think I'm just saying that if you know you believe in God and you hear God and he's talking to you and maybe what he's saying is scary and you're overwhelmed, that is okay. But he would not call you to something that he's not going to get you through. He would not call you to something or call you to a situation where he's going to leave you stranded. Like if he is calling you to a place, he is quite literally walking with you there and making sure that all that needs to go down is going to go down well. And if God is calling you out of a place into another place, he is definitely taking you to better and greener pastures. Sometimes I be twanging. But yeah, believe in him, believe in his plan for you, and enjoy the ride. Like it sucks, but it's also really cool knowing that like I'm not in control of my life and that he is, and that he has the best plan for me, okay? And that's what I'm about. I'm about the best. So why would I not roll with my guy, okay? That's how I'm gonna leave this video. I hope it does something for someone, or you enjoyed this. But happy Sunday. Hallelujah. Love you guys.